Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dev Diary. So a while back, FromSoft did this preview of the new Armored Core game, and since then I've had the itch to try and make my own mech-style action game. But of course more on the arcadey side of things with a dash of customization that usually comes with a mech game. For example, imagine a mech that automatically leaves a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And subscribes, especially if you're new to the channel. And since I post game dev videos every week, hopefully notifications are also turned on so you never miss a new episode. Or you could do it yourself. Don't let the machines of tomorrow stop you from, doing you today. Wait, where was I? Oh yeah, mech game. So we're doing a very top-down style here to keep things simple. Also, if it weren't obvious, the art is very, very temporary. Anyway, the player's movement is a little unique in that pressing one of the 4 cardinal directions doesn't automatically move the player in said direction. Instead, the direction is cued, and the player's mech slowly turns to move in that direction. Now, as expected, the turn rate of said movement is entirely based on the current legs equipped. Another feature that is tied to the leg types is the dash maneuver, specifically how far and how fast a mech can dash. In fact, every major part of the mech has its own stats, and said parts are head, body, arms, and legs. So let's start with our most basic parts, as the functionality has yet to be finalized. The head currently determines how fast the entire mech will turn to face the direction that the player wants to aim. The body currently determines player health and shield, which are temporary as everything is currently immortal. But the secondary feature of the body is an extra ability. The first body type creates a temporary shield around the player's mech. For now, it simply pushes enemies away, but it'll likely interact with projectiles and damage in some form later. The second body type creates a burst of projectiles in one of those flower patterns. Both are temporary effects that run on their own timer and cooldown systems. These cooldown systems also apply to our weapons, of which there are currently 4. Our first weapon is a laser. It's nothing crazy and simply uses a collision line to precisely damage any enemies caught in its path. And we may switch to an actual object should we decide that the laser needs to be thicker. The second weapon is an automatic rifle, and like the laser, relies on the usage of a collision line to damage the enemy. And I'm only now realizing that this weapon shouldn't pierce, which we'll fix next time. Weapon number 3 is our first projectile weapon, which is a shotgun-like weapon. It fires multiple projectiles in a spread and slows down over time, though we may add more flair to the slug or slug-adjacent projectiles in the future. And of course, the final weapon in our first batch of artillery is a rocket launcher. While the current rocket itself does no damage, the behavior is still very rocket-like, including exploding on impact with an enemy, and explosions are handled using their own array of timers and data independent of the rest of the game. And as always with these types of projects, our projectiles are pulled, and we've got a few particles to help the visual aid. For now, it's simple stuff like dust when the player moves, and smoke trails for the rockets. And generally speaking, most of the rest of the code is content that we've covered in previous works. The most time-consuming aspect was tying every single thing to the player's specific parts. And even then, this is just a temporary setup, assuming we decide to complicate the system further. The hope with this project is to explore that stat-based customization and learn how to create better experiences with those features. A lot of our recent projects have been diving into the idea, and it would be nice to be able to experiment and apply newly gained information in multiple different projects, and hopefully create something fun and interesting in the process. I don't anticipate creating anything on the scale of an Armored Core or even a Mech Warrior, but hopefully we'll be able to create a fun mech style game regardless. And of course, as always, even if we don't, that's okay, and what matters is that we have fun doing it, So I'd love to know what you think so far of the project and what you would hope to see in the future, especially if you're a mech game fan. Leave your thoughts in the comments either way. And as always, if you would like to play some other games that have been featured on the channel in the past or want early access to video releases, subscribe to my Patreon. With that said, brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.